This brings me to the one more thing part of the talk. So let's see if this works. I hope it does. So I'm very excited to announce that HTMX4 is being released exclusively on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color for the first month of its existence. This is a real playable game. It's got 4 levels on it, and if you beat the game, then you get the source code for HTMX 4.0. And it's an incredible achievement, and so I want to bring the person who's really responsible for this achievement up onto the stage. It's Stephen Mitchell. You might know him as Scum Online. He's the guy that did that incredible video. He's just an incredibly talented person. So come on up, Stephen. He's going to tell you about how this was made and why it was made.
September 8th, 2025, and we're at a conference in downtown Chicago, DjangoCon 2025. The keynote speaker, Carson Gross, and the keynote, lateral thinking with withered or seasoned technology. It's a talk on Nintendo's philosophy, how to take mature, inexpensive, well-understood technology and do something surprising and new with it. Later that day, 3 guys who've only ever talked online finally met in person. You've heard from these 3 today: Carson Gross, Jerason Banes, and myself. Jerason met Carson working on the Montana State mini computer, and I just made memes. So we grabbed lunch, and the conversation naturally just turned to the Game Boy, which is the topic of the keynote. So I mentioned I played around a little bit with some Game Boy development. I loved trying to create under those tight constraints. And then Jerason mentioned that he knew the process of making the physical cartridges. So he knew how to get the chips, the EEPROMs burned, the shells, the stickers, even produce the boxes at scale. So we didn't sit down thinking we were starting a project, just 3 guys who just loved the same withered technology. But 2 months later, I get a message out of the blue from Carson with a completely ridiculous proposal. He wanted to release HTMX4, and he wants to release it on a Game Boy cartridge. How could I say no? So we started this project on actually, before we start that, I just want to reflect a moment here on just the nature of creating ideas. So Steve Jobs put it best in his biography, where he said that there's a temptation in our networked age to think that ideas can come from email or iChat. That's crazy, right? Creativity comes from spontaneous meetings, from random discussions. You run into someone, you ask what they're doing, you say, wow, and soon you're cooking up all sorts of ideas. So he believed this so intensely that he designed Pixar's headquarters around a central atrium. He put the cafeteria, mailboxes, even the bathrooms right in the center of the building so that people from different teams had to collide with each other. And it worked. So that lunch table in Chicago, that was our atrium. A connection only made by being in person. So you're already doing this between talks. I've been watching everyone, and it's been fantastic how much connection there is here in this room right now. But there are still people in this room who have a problem. They haven't met you yet. So make sure that you're the only person who can solve that problem, so make sure you go up and continue to talk to people and make those connections. And use social media. If you're new to the industry, you're trying to make those connections, start out on social media. It's a great way to at least start to get to know people and how, their sense of humor and what they like. But definitely try to meet those people in person at some point and follow this Jobs 3-step plan. You go up to them, you ask what they're doing, and you show genuine interest. You say, wow. Soon, you might be doing your own stupidly brilliant project of your own. So, what did this accidental meetup actually produce? Here's our specs. A real Game Boy cartridge. 1 Mario Brothers level. Warren. And the source code for the HTMX4 Golden Master on the cartridge. So we chose a tool called GB Studio because it gave us a solid platforming engine right out of the box. It gave us also some great tools for getting sprites together and also for generating music. Perfect starting point for our 1 simple Mario level. Work started on November 1st, and for the first few days, everything was amazing. We got a splash screen on day 1. We had an animated sprite on day 2. On day 3, we had that sprite running around some sample-included sprites there doing some wall sliding, a new action. And day 4, we were even working on some exposition. All right, so the first 10 days, everything was great. But you'll see this was our first main problem, is we could not disable collisions using the tool we were using. Just something like this would happen where you'd hit your head on something above you. What we wanted was the standard Mario death animation, where he goes up and then just sinks through the floor. Could not replicate it. Fought the tool for a full week, tried everything. Finally, I determined the only way I was going to solve this problem was to read the code. And you know what? It wasn't that bad. It was easy enough to read. You can kind of see here what was involved with that. But what was great was it was a crucial first exposure to the underlying C code in the engine, because we soon realized we didn't need just a few tweaks. We needed a lot of them. So we wanted to have wall jumps on just specific walls, not every single block in the game. We had this issue where if you wanted to collect a pickle in one view and you came back to that view, that pickle needed to be, we want that pickle to also remain gone, not just regenerate every time you came back. We have slop that slows you down. We have bullets that fire. We have ducking implemented. All of this is all custom. We even have enemies with custom movement patterns like this. This is our separation of concerns sock that is out to get you. This game is loaded with that trademark HTMX charm and humor and personality. It's also the first Game Boy game ever to feature an autoloader. What does that mean? So let's say you're playing the game, you get to a checkpoint, and your boss comes around, so you have to turn off your system, right? Well, next time you want to play, all you have to do is pull out your game system, turn it on, and you're dropped back right where you left off. If you're on a chromatic by Mod Retro, there's no boot time, you just flip it on, you're instantly back into play. And to show that this really works, I will go back to our map screen, start and select. We're back there, we'll turn it off, on again. It's as if you were just put your Game Boy to sleep. So, there are 4 different levels across 3 different biomes. We've got plains, we've got cave, we have slop factory, and we have an epic boss battle. There's even a secret ending for you completionists out there to unlock. And here is the very best part of the game. Kids love HTMX. So here we have the Quality Assurance Division, giving our beta a run through. We had neighborhood kids run into our house begging to play the game with the horse and the pickles. So this right here, better than any GitHub star. So then came the final boss of our development. How do we take the phenomenal cosmic power of HTMX4 and put it into the itty-bitty living space of a Game Boy cartridge? So there are no built-in game types for JavaScript library. We checked, not there. So we'd have to do this one on our own. So first we'll look at our canvas. We've got the Game Boy screen right here. It's 160 pixels across, and it is 144 pixels down. There's 4 colors, so there's 2 bits to store per pixel. So interestingly, the Game Boy does not work in pixels. It works in tiles. It's an interesting compression method. So the tiles are 8 by 8 pixels, so you have tiles 20 across, 18 down. Storing each pixel at 2 bits pixel would cost about 5 kilobytes of memory. Doing the same thing with tiles, it's only 360 bytes. Plus you need an extra 16 bytes per unique tile you have on the screen. So I sketched out an interface to hold the code. We've got a header on top. We have a new line take the second row up, so that gives us 16 rows beneath that to actually show the code. That comes to 320 characters. So we wrote a script. So let's do this first. So we have a tile map. Each tile coincides with an index in the ASCII table. Then we took HTMX. We have a script to break it into bits of 320 characters. Convert that to the font map indexes, and that rounds up to about 111 pages of data. We throw all of that in to a custom Game Boy Studio plugin, and right here's the code. Again, not too bad to load one of those indexes and throw it into the background tiles. I'm highlighting that line here and place it at row 02. That's 2 rows from the top in the first column. And this worked. So left and right will scroll you 1 page through the source code, and up and down will scroll you increment by 10. And so you'll have to unlock this for yourself by exploring and beating the game. But that is how we got the first JavaScript library on a Game Boy cartridge. So we've talked about when this idea came about, and we've talked about how it was built. But as we wrap up today and this conference, I want to talk about the why. Why do this? And really, why do we build anything? So some people will say this is all about output, right? Don't make something unique, thoughtful, put your own fingerprint on it. just ship product and get excited to ship more product. Right? It's how we end up with a world of forgettable software. Some will say it's about profits, DLC, subscriptions, recurring revenue. The thing is, there's truth to both those things, right? Finishing your work is important. Making a living matters. But it doesn't explain this. And it really doesn't explain this. So why do it? And it's because we love what we do. Right? It brings us joy, and we want to share that joy with other people. This game and the library behind it wouldn't exist with people who don't care about the craft, about development, about software engineering, and about the people who use what we make. So don't stop caring and love your craft. Take the time to learn about and understand systems, solve problems that intrigue you. Spark new ideas by connecting with other people here who love software development. Build great things. Put your fingerprint on it. Things that make the world better. Things with personality, soul, things that spark joy in ourselves as we create them, yes. But most importantly, for those we love. Thank you.
That was incredible. Turn off the mic.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he did it. It was since I was like, hey, here's a crazy idea. And he just grabbed it by the horns. It was unbelievable. You know, you just get lucky sometimes, and I got lucky when Scum came into my life. So I do have one announcement. So you can buy it. You can buy the game online right now. If you go to for.htmx.org, there's a big button to click it, to buy it from the store. But everyone who came to this conference, you all get a free copy of it. And so you mind helping me?